Episode of Jumpstart Monday. This is Michael Berardi. We are back after missing an episode because I was in the United States running a workshop there. And today's episode is very interesting. A childhood friend is coming, Alexander Novicov. It's titled Brands with Purpose Can Change Our World and They Can Charge a Premium. But before we get Alex on, let me read some of his biography. His CV. Alex believes in a world where people live with passion and go beyond their own expectations. He's above all a human, a runner, an animal lover, I think a dog lover more than anything else, a speaker, an author, and he also loves to parachute out of a plane. I would never do that, but well done, Alex, and a storyteller. He runs a boutique agency called Way, which is a brand purpose and content marketing agency. It's an agency that is on a mission to help people that care about what they do in order for them to flourish, and he will tell us how he does it. And he has worked with some brilliant brands from Stella Artois all the way to Eurovision. So having said that, let me welcome Alex on our stage. Alex, welcome to the Jumpstart Monday show, my friend.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction.
Alex, thank you very much. And you're based in the UK. I forgot to say that. So just for everyone to know, Alex is a book author. He has written an amazing book. It's called Not Another Pair of Shoes. And I have to take my hat off to Alex because very rarely do you get Seth Godin to write a testimonial for anybody. And I have to admit, Alex, that I'm very impressed, not only by its content, which is amazing, I've read it cover to cover, but also for getting Seth Godin to write a testimonial, which he will never do as a favor. He will do it if he sees value in it. So guys, if you like to win this book, please share this episode now so we can reach more people. If you share it now, we get more people on our show. If you share it later on, if you share the recording, still you get a chance to win Alex's book, and we will announce the winner before next Monday, as our next Jumpstart Monday will be on the 5th of September. As we agreed with my team, we will be having a bi-weekly Jumpstart Monday because of lots of demand for workshops and seminars and keynote speeches abroad. I'll be traveling a lot. So we'll do it bi-weekly. We will be interviewing interesting people like Alex. So please feel free to suggest whom you want to see on this show. Just drop it in the chat now if you're listening to us, and we'll be more than happy to interview them and invite them on the show. Having said that, Alex, let me start, before we get to know you, just to ask, what is the difference between marketing and branding according to you, so we can understand it?
Yeah, so marketing and branding, they're two different things. The main difference is branding is about the company's purpose, the company's values, how the brand feels. Marketing is a strategy really to help achieve those, to achieve sales goals, to help to achieve financial goals and other elements. So a lot of people, they think that branding is marketing. It's the same thing. They're two different things, and the main difference is when you brand a company, it's all about the feeling, the values, what do they stand for, and marketing is the strategy. How do we get to sell more products? How do we get our message across? That's the main difference for me.
And Way Boutique does both.
Yes, we do both. We focus
Okay.
on storytelling as our core because that's the foundation. What's your story, which we will discuss later, the purpose, and then once we have that, we go into the strategy, which a lot of companies, they focus, let's do the strategy, let's do the sales, and forget the other things.
Okay. You mentioned that you became a marketeer by accident in one of our conversations. How did this happen?
It happened because I got hired by a web development agency 13 years ago, and I didn't know anything about marketing. I just got hired as a sales and marketing executive, and I was like, oh wow, I can work in an office. And I used to work in a coffee shop in Nicosia, and then I saw a book called Marketing, and I was like, I started reading. I was like, I saw the book. I started reading and looking. I was like, oh, wow, I can learn this stuff. So I got excited about web marketing first. Back then, it was just websites. The company that I was working, the company that hired me, they were doing websites. So that's how I got started. And I met you after, I think, a couple of years when I started my agency. So yeah, it was an interesting journey because I wanted to give up, and I talk about that in book at some point. And yeah, I was nearly ready to give up, but then I remembered actually Seth Godin. I was like, you know what, he speaks about, giving up and that, and you can be a good marketeer, not sell shoes just for profits. And that's where like I started looking more deeply into my soul, and I said, okay, let me just change my mindset. And yeah, I'm glad that I stayed.
We're glad that you stayed as well. What inspired you to write this book? And since you spoke about shoes, maybe you can tell us a few things about the title as well. What inspired you to write
um
this?
what inspired me, I wanted to write a book for a couple of years, but it's always, I don't have time, I don't have this, all the excuses. And actually I wrote, funny story is, nobody knows that started writing a book 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago, I wrote maybe 80% of the book, and I sent it to Seth Godin. And I said, "Can you please?" I wrote this book, and it was rubbish. But I sent it to him, and he replied to me, said, "No, it's like I would never." I would never endorse it. I thank the universe that I didn't move forward with that book, and I just left it because I was like, "Oh, it's okay. I want to stop anyway." And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, you know what? It's a good time just to focus and enough talking. You can read all the books in the world, self-development, marketing, but I said, you know what, you have the skills, because it's always you're not good enough. You don't have enough credibility. You're this, you're that. So I said, no, every day you'll wake up at 5 a.m. until 9 a.m. you'll be writing. And I did that for 6-7 months, obviously research stuff. And yeah, I took it day by day. And what inspired me is I can see there's so many brands that don't have a purpose, and people, if you look deeper into purpose, when someone has a purpose, they're more passionate about life. They want to explore more, they want to live with passion. I said, if I can just be a bridge and just inspire someone to become a purpose driven brand, that can inspire other people, team members, employees, customers, and that obviously can spread. So I said, okay, I'll write the book to hopefully help other people find their passion, find their purpose, and be more happy,
Uh,
really.
and you have done so because I've given it as a present to two of my friends, the president of the European University Cyprus, and to the owner of St. Raphael Hotel and Resort, and they both hired you. So probably they found something in here that's very interesting. But for anyone that hasn't hired you yet or hasn't read the book, can you tell us what a brand with purpose is, or how can a brand create a purpose, or a company create a purpose, so our audience can understand it in layman terms?
Yeah, so it's not that complicated, because sometimes you hear purpose and you think, oh, it must be really complicated and it's hard. It's not that hard. It's really simple. It's, what do you believe in, except your product. So you're selling whatever you're selling. What do you stand for, and what do you believe in, that doesn't go directly into, this is my product, I'm selling my product. It's something, it's a belief. It's something that a company, for example, you mentioned San Rafael, which we just finished their story. They're a hotel in Limassol, right? There are hundreds of hotels, well, not hundreds, maybe, I don't know, 80 hotels
Dozens, yes,
dozens of
yeah,
hotels in Limassol.
yes.
Everybody, all of them, they communicate the same thing. We're a hotel, 5-star, 4-star, whatever. San Rafael's stories radiate kindness, and that came through a lot of interviews, team members, and other elements. So a brand with purpose stands for something that is beyond just profits. Radiate kindness for San Rafael, for example, that's what they believe. They believe in kindness. But and then obviously there are other elements how you can connect. But the most simple way to think about purpose is, beyond your product, what do you stand for? And
I
we all
love
have
this.
values.
I
Like,
love
we all
this.
have values. It's just what. And you might say, Michael, oh, but I have 10 values. What do I choose from? Choose one. This is the most important. And then obviously you need to connect it with your product. So for example, San Rafael, the managing director, she believes in a lot in sustainability and kindness. And then they can back everything up. Everything that's in their stories comes from their team members, from their customers, from their guests. So that's in a simple way.
I love it so much. Thank you, Martina, for bringing it up. That's amazing. Totally agree. And I once read that it's very important to stand for something other than your products. And I'm so happy to hear it once again from you, Alexander. And this is very important. We promised people that if you have a brand with purpose, you can charge a premium. Is this true according to your experience? Should companies charge a premium if they have a purpose, or it's not that easy?
It's not that easy, because once you have a purpose, you can't really charge within the next week a 30% increase, but you can do it gradually. So the strategy is usually you create your purpose and then you have to execute it. But the execution is the second most important thing. Your branding, we talked initially, it needs to be spot on. Your aesthetics everywhere, and Michael, you've done an amazing job with your brand, like your letterheads. I saw everything that you do, and you have like great branding. So once you do the execution, once a company does the execution, they need to start obviously creating that feeling of the purpose of their experience, and then they can start charging premium after a certain amount of time. And there's no time frame, 3 months or 6 months or a year, but that's a gradual process. And that's why we pay, there are brands that we pay premium. We all have certain things that we care about, and we say, okay, I'm going to pay a bit more. The most basic thing is shoes, right? We pay £100 for a pair of shoes from Nike when we can buy from another brand company for £10, or from China for 5, right? But yet we want Nikes or Adidas or the new brands on running, which charges more than Nike now. So we can charge, but it's not. If a company does purpose just to charge premium, they will fail miserably, because they'll be looking for profits all the time. I'm making XYZ, I need to increase that. But if a company does it from their heart, and this is what we believe, and this is the change that we want to see in the world, which really that's the brand one of the things that brand purpose does. This is the change that we want to see in the world. Radiate kindness. Again, back to San Rafael, because obviously it's local and they've done an amazing job. That's their belief. They want to radiate kindness to every single guest. And you can see that when you go to the reception, when you speak with Progobis, when you speak with Vasos, you can see that they genuinely care about people. So
I will test it after we finish. I will pick up the phone and call San Rafael, ask them to connect me to one department, and I'll let you know, okay? I'll let you know. Let me ask a personal question now. You've written an article just very recently on Medium, and you said that you paid a premium. Can you explain within the next 1 or 2 minutes why you paid a premium for a certain product? Can you tell us about your article to see if this matches the purpose or not?
Actually, no, because they don't have the company that the company that I bought the product. The person that I basically, I have to tell the backstory, because I can't tell yes or no. The backstory in a quick version is I signed up for an Ironman, right? An Ironman is, if you're familiar with Ironman.
I am familiar, but let people know about how many kilometers running, whatever.
It's one of the toughest races in the world. So you have to do 3.9 kilometer swim, then 180 kilometers bike ride, which I've never ridden a cycle. I don't like it. And 42 kilometers running after all those 2 activities. And you have to finish everything within 16 hours, which is huge and crazy. And I don't know why I sign up, but hey, I sign up. And because I sign up, I needed a bike, because my bike skills is from King's Cross to my office, which is like 10 minutes by Santander bikes, So I needed to go and buy a bike. So I went to different stores. I went to, I think, 4 stores. And there's this guy, I went to Giant store in Camden, and he recommended. I said, "What's your budget?" I said, 1,000. Okay, so he told me this bike is good. I said, "Oh, okay." I don't understand. When you don't know something, it's like, okay, I believe him. Then I did a research on Facebook. There's like groups and stuff. Then I went to another store, and I said, another store that was selling different bikes. And I asked the guy, "What do you think about this bike?" I don't even know the model, AR4, whatever. And he said, "Oh no, you can get much more cheaper."
Yes.
You can get it much more cheaper for £700. I was like, so what's the difference? He said, no, it's the same thing. It's the specs are the same. But the reason I went back to Giant and bought it, because the person, Nick, he cared a bit more. He asked me, you're going to, no, okay, you'll need this. You're doing this. When are you doing? He asked me a few questions, and he made me feel like he cares, and he made me feel that if anything happens with, I'm sure, with bike, I know I'll need service or stuff, I can go to him, which is 5 minutes from here, and buy. The other guy, he was like, yeah, this is better. It's 700 pounds. You'll save 300. The specs are, he didn't seem to care really about, maybe he cared, but in my opinion, he was like, yeah, just this is cheaper. So I prefer to pay much more, and I actually pay 117% more, because of not just great customer service, but because the person cared about what they do.
It's true, very true. And from what you're saying, it's not enough for a company to have a purpose. The team inside the company and each individual member should have a purpose. Each one should radiate kindness, according to St. Raphael, because it only takes one to completely destroy the whole picture that you're building and the whole purpose thing. Alex, one last question before we open the floor to questions. You talked about storytelling. Can you tell us how important storytelling is in building a brand or in your marketing strategy? And how do you go about storytelling in a way that resonates with people?
Storytelling. Storytelling is such a buzzword, isn't it? It's like everybody talks about storytelling and storytelling. I mean, my opinion on storytelling, a story, there are two types of storytelling, how I see it. One is your brand purpose storytelling. So you have a brand purpose, and then you have a formula, basically a framework on how a story should be: the beginning, the problem, and the resolution. That's the basic, right? You have your brand purpose, you communicate the problem, and then you resolve it, and you say, this is the solution. Storytelling on social media, for example, is when we create content, for example, on Medium or on videos, whatever. It needs to have a problem. It's always a good story always has an issue. Like if we watch any Hollywood movies or anything, we always see there is a problem. And sometimes businesses say, oh, well, we can't speak about problems. Well, that's the main thing. We have, like, the problems is what people, they see a problem, they say, yeah, I have this problem. It can be a mental challenge, it can be anything. But a good story has a good beginning, a good problem, and a resolution. That's basically it. So when you do a video, when you do a post, there needs to be, like, if the best thing that we can do is we can track our own behavior. So what posts do we like? What videos do we keep watching? What see what you, and you'll see that we are engaged in the stories that have an issue, that have a problem, and they solve it. And the basic example of this, think of a series, whatever series you watch, I don't know, Friends, or they always end on a high. They end on a high because they want the viewer to come back, right? So they can't end, oh yeah, this is a happy ending, because it will be boring. Nobody will come back. So when we create content, when I think of storytelling, is like, how can we end on a high? How can we end on for the user to come back for more? And that's the basics of storytelling.
To help us more, you mentioned in this book about a hotel in London, in the UK. Can you please tell us in short, what is the story, what was the problem, and how you ended on a high, just to understand this in practice, not just in words.
Okay, so
what's really the name of the hotel? I don't remember it, but I have to look at my notes. But
you have a very good memory. It's Central Hotel London. It's in King's Cross. So think of it, there are maybe 40 hotels, definitely 40 hotels around the area. They all speak about the same thing: Eurostar, King's Cross, blah 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 blah. This is a small hotel, very budget hotel, small rooms. And basically they were doing the same as everyone else, book now. The OTA is a huge problem in England, well, everywhere in the hospitality industry, because they get a huge commission. So what we did is, basically we said, okay, what will be our story? So we worked on our story, and we came out with explore more, do more. That's their tagline. So we said, look, and we communicate in our story and everywhere, our rooms are small. We don't want you in the hotel. You come and sleep here, and you go and explore. And we wanted to use a different language. Well, I try to use a different language, like just piss off and explore and do more London. And the whole idea is because we're a budget hotel, we want to communicate to potential guests that, look, we're just a hotel. We have a bed, a bathroom, a shower, and that's it for you to come at night and leave. And with that, we've started creating content of places that you can explore in London, but you can save money, because obviously budget-oriented hotel attracts budget
Oriented
guests,
tourists. Yeah.
tourists. Things that are not like well known, like Big Ben and all that stuff. Once you come to London once, you're not going to go and see Big Ben again. Well, maybe now that they renovated it, but so our goal is to find different gems in London. That the pretzel shop, we did an episode, Explore More Do More. There's a pretzel shop in Holborn, like 10 minutes by bus here. Nobody would know it from tourists. It's a local thing that people go on their lunch break, but the pretzels are amazing, and the bagels, like, and this is their purpose, is to find little, well, because we work with them, to find small little things that people will find and say, oh wow, I went and found that pretzel or that bagel. But that goes into their story. It's not the other thing that is important. They can say explore more, do more, right? But then do nothing. Don't create content about exploring. Don't, like, just say, yeah, buy book today. But they're focused on finding places for you to prove in a way that this is what we believe in. This is what we want you to do, to explore more and do more and live more and other stuff.
Do you also have a booklet, or is everything online?
We did an ebook.
Yeah.
We did an ebook when we launched the story. So basically, it was download the ebook to get. The title was not spend £100 in 3 days in London, which is ridiculous. Like, because people say London is expensive. Well, if you go to Mayfair, yeah. But we did a booklet with £100, 3 days in London. But they were all stuff that were, you can go to the park, you can go and have a Pret or Starbucks, and you don't need that much money if you really think about it. So we created that booklet, and it was like, I don't remember the numbers now, but a lot of people downloaded it, and it equal to, I remember the sales went up, direct bookings, not just sales, by 1,700% within 6 months of working together. That's huge, because it was so hard to take a user from booking.com to their website, because booking.com users and OTAs users, we prefer that. But to drive them to the website was a huge thing. And it's not just because of one thing. That's really important. People will say, oh, I'll do this and that. No, it's a lot of things. It's the story, it's the content, it's this, it's that. So that's why you have to do it step by step.
Okay, very good. For all the people who are loyal and are on this call, it's still on Zoom, just send us a message that you're here. And the people who are live, we're going to give one book. We were going to draw one book, and we will let you know today. Martina will let you know today. So drop us a note that you're here watching us. It is definitely worth reading this book. I loved it. I consumed it in less than a day. And Seth Godin believes the exact same thing. Alex, it was a privilege to have you on our show. And let me recap what we discussed. Alex has told us that a purpose is something more than just your products, and marketing is a strategy, but branding is the field. Both companies and individuals need to work on both. Alexander has worked with lots of hotels, both on home soil here in Cyprus, because he used to live here in Cyprus, but also the United Kingdom. Little things like kindness, radiating kindness, or pissing off from the hotel and going exploring London can make a huge of a difference and can drive your sales up over than 1,000%. And you can do all this by contacting Alexander directly, and here are his contact details. Or you can buy his book from Amazon. I highly suggest, if you're not one of our winners, you can buy his book from Amazon. Guys, send us a note in. I don't know, Martina, if the chat is enabled, because I'm not seeing any comments coming in, and they used to come hundreds of comments coming in. But if not, we will see them in the comments below in the recording. Alex, a last word. Anything you want to say?
Well, I want to say thank you for doing the show, because every time I might not watch every Monday, but I always remember Jumpstart Your Monday. So for me, it's just like on Monday, it's like I jumpstart your Monday, Alex. So thank you so much for doing this show and putting so much effort, and your team with Martina doing the show, because it's inspiring. Inspire other people to follow their Monday and their dreams and their goals, and it's just inspiring for you to find. And you had Katerina as well. which I met her a couple of years ago.
Caterina Andreu, yes, yes, she
Yeah,
was.
I actually hired one of the account executives that we had at the agency through her many years ago. So yeah, it's
A small world,
yeah.
very small.
So yes, I would like to thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for something that I think I don't acknowledge a lot. 10 years ago or somewhere there where we met, you told me a couple of things and they didn't register. It took me maybe 5 or 6 years. One of the things, smoking, I remember it vividly. You told me once in Costa Coffee you should smoke, and back then I was so ignorant. It's like, no, I look cool. But 5 years ago I quit, and now I do all kinds of sport and running ultras and all that stuff. And it just thanks to you, because you planted the seeds and you were kind with me back then. And when I went to what inspired me, it's a very good question. What inspired me to write a book? You can't have one thing, that's for sure. Because when I went to your, I don't remember where it was. It was Nicosia. You had something with your book, presentation or something. And I remember thinking, freaking hell, wow, this guy wrote a book. Like, I hope one day I can do that. So most probably, you inspired me in a way, planting seeds 10 years ago. Slowly through my journey, reading different books, remembering you because we met in person, and seeing you grow and telling me, and I think one of the things I have to say, that I think I was positive, but I think after reading your book and meeting with you and hanging out, meeting with you, when we met so many times, I think the mentality of thinking positive just stayed. It's like I developed it much more, but it's like, and then I went into Stoic philosophy. But I think it's because of you I'm always positive, and that's not a negative. Always positive when things are going bad, yeah, but I'm trying to look things from a different perspective. So I would like to thank you for for the whole journey, for believing in me, and not saying,
I,
oh yeah, just
I
piss
always
off.
believed in you. I think I believed in you before you believed in yourself. But
Yeah, I
remember
think so. Yeah.
to say the things exactly as I told you on air. So I will be transferring the money to the UK as I promised after the episode. So thank you very
Okay.
much. Alex, thank you very much. You've been great. Thank you to everyone who's been here. And we will let you know about the winner of the book in just a few minutes from now. Thank you very much, Alex. Take good
I
care.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Martina. And